So with WWDC right around the corner, I wanted to do my iOS 15 wish list, or essentially just some features and improvements that I would love to see Apple make to the iOS platform. Not even just to really bring it in line with Android, but in order to kind of bolster it and make it more powerful in its own right. So I did go ahead and bring in some help from a few friends, the S21 Ultra and the Pixel 4 XL. So like I said, I have some notes here on my iPhone and we'll literally just go ahead and talk about it. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into the video. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, this is Ike's Tech Talk, where we go over the latest in tech news, reviews, and discussions. If that's something that you're interested in, do yourself a favor, hit that like and subscribe button down below. Now with that being said, let's roll the video. All right, so let's go ahead and dig in and go over some of the improvements. Now, let me preface this with, I'm going to focus more on software, because remember, WWDC is a software event. We're talking iOS 15, which is software. Any feature that I personally feel is more attributed to lack of hardware or Apple waiting for hardware, say like always on display since they're waiting on LTPO panels, I'm gonna skip that and kind of reserve that for when the iPhone 13 or iPhone 12s, whatever they call it, drops later this year. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to talk about is probably going to be the thing I talk about the shortest in this video, just because I already have a dedicated video on it, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'll throw a link in the description for that video so you guys can go and check it out. But we're going to talk split view on at least the max size variant iPhones, right? So what I mean when I say this is the ability to do 2 apps at the same time just on the screen. Again, a lot of people are gonna say this is not a feature a lot of people will use and it's very niche. It is, I definitely agree, but I feel like it makes your smartphone experience so much more productive. Just to give you guys a situation, I was literally in the grocery store earlier this morning and I wanted to check my banking app, but I also wanted to do some calculations with the calculator to like kind of total up my grocery kind of balance before I get to the register. Just a kind of pet peeve of mine that I just like to do. But on my Pixel, I was able to open a split view with my banking app and the calculator and use them together. Now on my iPhone, this would have literally been open up my banking app, close out of that, then go into the calculator app, try to remember the calculation that I'm doing with my banking app instead of having that information there. So that's kind of where I see split view being at its best, is when you want to reference information from 2 particular places. Now, we currently have picture-in-picture, which is somewhat close, but remember, picture-in-picture is limited strictly to video. You can only use picture-in-picture with video. It doesn't work for, say, like Teams chat, like for Teams meeting calls. It doesn't work for that. It does on the Android devices. And it doesn't work for Apple Maps. It works for Google Maps on the Android devices. So let's just bolster the kind of multitasking features that the iPhone has, at least the bigger screen, because I can understand on the smaller screens it might get a little cramped or whatever the case may be, but at least for the max variant iPhones, let's go ahead and just bring split view. Next, that kind of leads me into maximizing screen real estate for the bigger devices. Whether you pick up a Pro Max variant or a iPhone 12 mini, you're getting the same exact layout. You're getting the same exact number of icons on the display. All of like the entire experience is essentially the same. And a lot of people are always going to say, well, that's a strength. It's super minimalistic, super simple. So no matter, who picks up your device, or if you hand your device to someone, they can easily navigate and use it. They're used to it. And I get that. That is a very strong point. But the counter argument that I have to that is, we were in the same exact situation with the iPad, where the iPad, when it was first introduced, was literally just a blown up version of the iPhone. Literally, it was the same exact thing, just across a bigger canvas. And we complained about that. We complained about it profusely until Apple decided to finally come out with iPadOS, which didn't take us all the way there, but it got us fairly close, right? And I'm not asking for them to come out with like a big iPhone or iOS Max or anything like that. Like, no, like you don't have to make a whole new kind of subdivision of iOS in order to do what I'm asking. All I'm asking for is just some features that are specific to the bigger canvas that you have with the Pro Max size phones. Say for example, when the 6 and 6 Plus first came out, the iPhone 6 Plus had home screen rotation. You could actually rotate your home screen and it would actually rotate with you. That was really, really cool for people who say wanted to mount their devices on the like car mounts. They could do a home screen rotation. Well, when they introduced the iPhone 10 in 2017, that feature completely went out the window. I thought it was gonna come back with the XS Max. It never came back and it still hasn't come back. So I don't know if it's a spacing issue because of the notch, but that's a feature I would love to see come back. And like I said, is just little things like that. I'm not asking for hardware differences, but just software differences, because you have such a big screen and you literally have no real reason or nothing to take advantage of it besides more battery life and a bigger display. Camera is questionable whether it's really an upgrade or just whatever, but you really don't have anything in the software to take advantage of a display this big. So I think Apple really needs to get on top of that and just kind of bolster that experience. Give us a reason to choose the Pro Max size phones over the regular size phones. So I think that, like I said, that's definitely an area for improvement. The next thing, and this is one that bugs me to no ends because iOS used to have it. You used to be able to open up links within apps in a different app. So that's gonna sound really complicated until I explain it here. So right now on Android, if I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see, say, a YouTube link, or like one of my favorite creators post a YouTube link to their video. If I click on the link on Android, it takes me directly to the YouTube application to view that video. On iOS, it used to do this. Now, it takes you to the web version of YouTube. I have no idea why it does that. Now, I could see if iOS didn't know that I had the YouTube app installed on my phone, but it knows because when it takes you to the YouTube app, there's a banner at the top of the screen that asks you to open whatever you're viewing in the YouTube app. So why not just kind of automate that entire process and just take me directly to the YouTube app, or give me a prompt that says, you know, open in YouTube app? And I know it's possible. And like I said, I don't know if it's an issue with Apple and iOS or with Twitter, because I've seen other applications like Apollo, the Reddit client. I've seen them kind of do something similar where in the settings it gives you a option that says open YouTube videos in the YouTube app. You just check that, and anytime you click on a link, it takes you to the YouTube app. Like, I don't understand why that's not there. It just, like I said, adds an additional step. And there's workarounds. I've found Opener, but just give us something native. I don't want to have to click, then share, then click again, and then go to YouTube. Just let me click one time, take me to the YouTube app, and I'm done. Right? So moving right along, this is one I see no one talking about. When Apple first started this whole kind of continuity and cohesiveness between their entire ecosystem, they had Handoff. And I still think to this day, Handoff is such an underused feature when it comes to Apple, like really bolstering it or pushing it ahead. So Handoff allows you to start something on, say, your Apple Watch. You can start a message or an email, and then it carries over to your iPhone. Your iPhone can do the same and carries over to your iPad or to your Mac. So it really just amplifies that whole cohesiveness of the Apple ecosystem. But the thing is, Apple hasn't done anything with this since it first came out. I think Handoff should be a developer API. Give developers access to it. Imagine being able to start a video editing project in LumaFusion on your phone and then hand it off to your iPad and continue right where you left off. It's like uses like that seem so powerful when I'm thinking about it, but it just baffles me that this support isn't there. Spotify kind of already does something similar, but imagine you're listening to a song in your car and you come in and you hand it off to your Mac. Your AirPods already switch over to your Mac. When you sit down, it recognizes your AirPods and you can connect. what if Spotify just handed off to my Mac and I could pick right up where I left off? It's like things like this always make me think when people say, oh, it just works, that it's certain situations where I'm just kind of like, does it just work? Because things that just make sense to me, Apple doesn't seem to do it. I don't know if there's an issue why they can't do it, something with security, but like I said, make Handoff an API and let developers take advantage of it, you know? So I think that that's a huge missed opportunity for one of iOS's like most kind of sticky points on why people stick with iOS, is that whole continuity and cohesiveness between the ecosystem. And then we're gonna get into interactive widgets. This is one that kills me. So I was finally happy when Apple introduced widgets to iOS. But when we actually got them, while they're, in my opinion, right, they're more polished and obviously they look nicer than widgets on Android, but widgets on Android still seem a lot more powerful. You can do a lot more with them without going into an application. Right now, widgets on iOS are literally just app shortcuts. Literally, they're just app shortcuts. Now they may take you to different places within the application, but they're still app shortcuts. You click it, you're going into the app. And to me, that's not what a widget is. Widgets are supposed to be quick and easy, like glanceable information and quick and easy controls to control something without going into that application or whatever the case may be. Like right now, the Spotify widget on iOS is literally just like a kind of showcase for what music you're listening to right now. Like, I know what kind of music I'm listening to right now. Give me some music player controls. Even with Apple Music, give me some music player controls. That's one I honestly do think we'll see, because that seems to be a huge misstep on Apple's part as far as widgets. So like I said, I have no idea what they were thinking with that. Yeah, give us more interactive widgets, because right now they're just app shortcuts. That's not even useful for me. And then the last point I wanted to touch on isn't necessarily a feature or an improvement, but just kind of where I want to see iOS as a platform go looking ahead. So Apple's biggest strength is also its biggest weakness. And I know people are gonna go, what? So let me explain. Their biggest strength is their ecosystem, how all of their devices work together to kind of make your workflow easier or just more seamless, right? That's also their biggest weakness, because right now, each device, let me backtrack. What I feel is that Apple is so focused on that cohesive experience of how these devices work together that they lose focus on how these devices should act on their own. And I think a big proponent of that is, again, split screen multitasking on the iPhone. Anytime I bring that up, the first thing that people say is, well, you can just grab an iPad and use split screen multitasking. I shouldn't have to go to another part of a platform's ecosystem to be able to get a particular feature. I take both of these phones, and these are kind of like everything I need in one device, especially the Samsung phone. I have a whole dedicated PC with this phone with Samsung DeX. I have split screen, I have floating apps, I have all of that. Now, if I decide that I want to, say, bolster, and get more devices and add to Samsung's ecosystem, you're gonna get some of those goodies that just come along with using a Samsung watch and a Samsung phone, or Samsung earbuds with the Samsung phone. Excuse me. Like, you're gonna get those features, which is nice, don't get me wrong. But you can never say that Samsung devices don't stand on their own well. And I think that's the problem with Apple right now. They're so busy bolstering and talking about how their devices work so well together and it's all seamless, and it is. But the thing is a lot of your product lines are missing core components and core features and core just quality of life things and improvements because you're so focused on that cohesiveness. So I just really need for them to kind of dial that in a bit and just focus on making each product line the absolute best that it can be. Make the, I feel as though they should try to make the iPhone the best phone that it can be. Whether that means trying to be better than Android, copying Android, I don't really care at this point, just figure it out. Make the Apple Watch the absolute best watch that it can be. I'm not saying it's not the best smartwatch, but the Apple Watch itself, Make it the best smartwatch it can be. Don't worry about how it's super cohesive with your Mac and your iPad. Don't worry about that. Make the Apple Watch the best watch it can be. Make the iPad the best tablet it can be. And no, I'm not saying put Mac OS on an iPad. Don't do that. Just make iPad OS more powerful in its own right. So, like I said, guys, I know this came off a little bit more as a rant, but again, I sound so passionate about these topics and these points because I love iOS. Even how it operates when in comparison to Android. There's just certain levels of polish and seamlessness that you get when using Apple, like certain Apple products that you just don't have on even like the Pixel 4 XL. There's even times where I see sometimes like stuttering and jank on my Pixel 4 XL, which to me is probably the smoothest and most fluid Android phone you can get, or Android experience you can have is from a Pixel. But like I said, on my iPhone, it's super smooth, super fluid, great. It just doesn't do much. So I feel like it's time to make iOS a bit more functional. I could be completely offbeat. You guys may not agree, but that's gonna be what you guys are gonna talk about with me down in the comment section below. So as I stated before, guys, that's gonna do it for this video, but in the comments below, let me know. Do you feel as though iOS as it stands is just enough? And if not, what features do you want to see them add at WWDC? Thanks so much again for watching as always, guys. This is Ike's Tech Talk. See you in the next one. Peace.